Santa Cruz, located on the central coast of California, is a small seaside community with a little over 60,000 residents. The beauty of the coast, ringed by redwood-studded mountains, has been a magnet to many for generations. Santa Cruz is known for its surfing lifestyle as well as being a bastion for tech-savvy creativity. The ideal temperate climate and all of this beauty comes at a cost, however, and Santa Cruz is one of the most expensive places to live in the U.S. Median house prices are just over $600,000. Santa Cruz is currently struggling to come to terms with the homeless population, which according to applied research rose 28% in 2013. This puts the total homeless population at 3,536, with some estimates being much higher. Santa Cruz filmmaker Brent Adams has been working on an idea that he calls Sanctuary Camp, which would provide a safe place to sleep as well as other services to homeless people within the community. Brent wanted to collect some data from other operating homeless encampments along the Pacific coast, and curious myself, I went along with him to document the trip. The first camp that we visited was unsanctioned and not necessarily the model that Brent is using for his sanctuary camp, but it was good to get a baseline.
We're in Eugene, Oregon. This is the first stop, the first homeless camp that we're finding on our Northwest tour as we're looking for sanctuary camps. It looks like a temporary homeless camp, about 30 to 50 tents across the street, a kitchen, 2 porta potties, all on a very busy street at a highway on-ramp, up against a large concrete cinder block building. Looks like a good location, probably very loud with traffic though.
Brent went in to talk to some of the camp residents while I took a comprehensive tour with Whoville resident Karen.
My personal name is Karen Taronas, and I came to be a part of Whoville because I'm homeless and I felt drawn here. And I really love the concept because it's community-based, you know, and it's really also helping to re-educate people and reacclimate them to living in society. So here we are, what's lovingly called Whoville Number 9 Revisited. They keep citing us, or they were, for a couple of months, and so far they've let us stay here about 2 months, though they did put 2 camping prohibited signs up on the walls, one there and one over there. We try to keep the walkways clear as much as possible. There are too many people here. 20 to 30 would probably be much more ideal, but we can't exactly turn people away. So that's kind of the main entrance. We're a little haphazard, and then we have our paths going around this way. Think about disabled. We have 2 people in wheelchairs, a lot of people who have a hard time walking. We try to keep the center for community events, and ideally, we've been trying to get all the tents around the outside, and then we want to put up fencing like they have in Portland. Lovely fencing that they did with doors. And there's a whole bunch of wood that somebody donated for us because we're always cooking. That's a community tent that we let a lot of overnighters, you know, late night people just show up and all they've got is a sleeping bag and a tarp. And so we let them go in there, but we ask them to roll it up and go ahead and leave. And this would be the final pathway out. Getting better all the time. Back on the sidewalk. Ta-da! I've been out on the road myself about a year. It began in Florida for me. I had a home for 15 years at 2 acres, and 10 years I took care of that myself. My 3 children, 2 of whom are also disabled. And it just, income, the banking crash, I couldn't take care of that home anymore, and then I lost it. And then I was renting for a while, but when I went to become a renter, I had no rental history because I'd been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and everything that I'd hoped and invested in was that home and that lamp. Oh, the stories are so varied. I mean, they really are. The commonality is that we are unhoused. It didn't mean we became unhuman. And somehow they forget that. I want people to know there's a Heavenly Father that loves them, and He didn't choose this for them. But He will walk through it with us, and He will help us shine.
Brent continued touring Whoville and talking to more of its residents, including a young pregnant woman who said that Whoville was the only place where she felt safe. She succumbed to the high cost of medical treatment after getting hit by a car and suffered life-threatening physical injuries. Unable to pay the bills, she became homeless. I walked to all of the surrounding businesses to see how the camp had affected them. There were no major complaints, and many businesses said they actually saw an increase in revenue. The owner of the small Mexican restaurant directly next door said the business boomed when they had their taco special for only a couple of dollars. One woman that worked at the convenience store said that a couple of camp residents even walked her home each night for safety. We found the unsanctioned camp to be interesting, but we were curious to visit the Opportunity Village to see how a sanctioned and funded camp is run. Opportunity Village is the brainchild of 26-year-old Andrew Heben, who did his master's thesis on organized tent cities. Background checks for residents are mandatory, as is following the rules. No drinking, no drugs, and no violence. To be on the grounds, you have to sign in and be escorted by a resident at all times.
My name is Catherine Griffith. I actually got married here on Halloween. I am on the council. I'm also the head of the admin committee, computer lab, and probably something I'm missing. Very good support from the community. When the city had their use hearing for this location, nobody spoke against us. Nobody. The arbitrator, he said he'd never seen that happen at any hearing he'd been to before, that nobody spoke against it.
My name's Andrew Heben, and we're here at Opportunity Village, Eugene. It's been open for about 3 months now, and there's 30 people living here in, I think, 27 micro-housing structures. Like many other camps, it started as a protest camp, but quickly became like a place of refuge for those in the city without a place to be. So if Occupy did one thing, I think it really catalyzed the issue of homelessness and the realization that people need a safe place to be. So the city's compromise with shutting down that camp was to form a task force on homeless solutions, where they're specifically trying to find new and innovative ways to deal with the issue of homelessness. And it brought together people, diverse stakeholders from throughout the city.
Well, my name's Craig, and I came here in the end of September, and I just started volunteering and found a place to stay through that, and just started contributing to the project. The village has a council comprised of 5 people, and I'm on that council as well. And we're just building bungalows and sheltering people. Like to see inside. Before inspection, we kind of discourage people from moving their stuff in and leave it visible for the inspector to come and see. Once that's done, the folks move in. But this particular unit has a loft, and loft space is designed for storage, and it really keeps a lot of the floor space open just by having a loft. We're building a lot more than just the structures here. It's we're building community together, and through building community, it's more like a support network for ourselves and each other. It's building cohesion not only in this village, but it's building cohesion between the unhoused and the housed, and building cohesion between the greater community and this community.
So one of the ways we were able to build all these structures and kind of get around the code is that they're not hooked up to any utilities. Once you hook up to water and electric, that's when a lot of the serious code requirements kicked in. So the yurt also serves as like a central heated gathering space. We have a pellet stove in there. They make and distribute these stoves in a lot of third world countries. They're super efficient biomass stoves. They create 90% less smoke, and they also, like, a little stick like this will heat this entire pot of water.
It was refreshing to be in a community that makes finding alternative solutions to homelessness a priority. The citizens of Eugene came together to support their most needy neighbors. They realized that by enacting more laws which target the poorest citizens in their community wasn't only a waste of public resources, but it does nothing to tackle the root causes of homelessness.
We've just visited Opportunity Village in Eugene, and it's filled with micro homes. We've really been inspired. It's beyond our imagination how awesome it is, how beautiful the structures are, beautiful the community is. They've had unlimited unanimous support in city council. The neighborhood is happy with it. Tons of community support. So something that we're going to be hopefully working towards in Santa Cruz. They seem to make it look easy here. They're constructing beautiful bungalows and conestogas. They have a heated yurt, kitchen area. They're building a bathroom, and it looks highly doable.
After our inspiring visit to Opportunity Village, I was reminded how important community is. The people that we had met on our journey this far may be monetarily poor, but the richness of their community was something that I hadn't felt in my own hometown for quite some time. As a massive cold front descended on the west coast, we were met with snow and temperatures well below freezing. As we made our way to Portland to visit Right to Dream 2, I turned the heater in the car full blast, and I couldn't help but think of all of the people sleeping outside.
We're heading down to Right to Dream 2. It's a safe sleep spot in downtown Portland where people can sleep for 8 hours, 3 shifts of 8 hours. They have porta potties, a dumpster. It's not a camp, it's just a place where people can go to sleep so they're not sleeping around the sidewalk in downtown Portland. They accommodate several hundred people. It's done with the approval of the city, participation of the city, but they are trying to find a new location now.
I'm standing at a 5th floor window looking down at Right to Dream 2, a homeless camp in Portland, Oregon. One of the things we wonder all the time is why Portland seems to be a mecca for homelessness. Our homelessness count is going up, skyrocketing, especially women and children, 22%, 25%. And a lot of the people come here from all over the country, especially California, the Pacific corridor, and we cannot figure out why. The location for the camp was a porn shop, which came down due to a lot of reasons, but it was torn down, became a gravel lot, and the city didn't allow the owner to develop it for food carts, develop it for a parking lot, so the owner decided he would give it over to the homeless people. And for 2 years the city has fought it, but now the city is looking at supporting the homeless by moving them into a warm warehouse at $10,000 a month, so they won't be freezing. Tonight it's supposed to be 19 degrees outside. It's a sober camp. It's a dry camp. They have enough money, they raise enough money so that they can do things like have sanitary conditions and porta potties, and so we've had no problem whatsoever. Well, unfortunately, homelessness is such a horrible problem here that we still have people in doorways all over the place. The city should provide more space for people like this.
It was humbling to talk to these incredible people who are working tirelessly to help make life better for the most vulnerable people in our society. We drove north to Portland and to our next location, a place called the Dignity Village.
Well, I'm Scott, and we're here at Dignity Village. Dignity Village it's a place to come and help you get back on your feet. We've been here 13 years, into our 14th year, and I would assume thousands of people come through here in 13 years to get back on their feet. Some go back to the street, but most people go to housing, so that's what we consider that success. So we have micro businesses. People come in and buy wood. They come in and buy stuff that we get for donations at our yard sale. We take recycling back. We're trying to sell stuff out of our garden. There's several different ways that we try to make money. We pay all of our electric, water, sewer, garbage, and all that type of thing by donations and by stuff that we sell. This greenhouse, a gentleman got a grant to build a greenhouse. Da Vinci Art School came and they helped us build it, and they painted the windows, and a villager painted the greenhouse. Right now, residents, we have just right around 58 to 60, but we are keeping 6 to 8 extra in our warming shelter right now, so we have almost 70. For people like us in their late 40s, early 50s, have a hard time getting a job because all the young people come in, I mean, they're getting the jobs, and we're old enough to where we're looked at quite as favorable as a younger person, so it's hard to get a job at this age bracket. Local artists will come in and see an empty wall and want to do a mural, and so we'll paint it. It helps brighten up the village. It's kind of neat. It gives things to talk about. That's representations of the cave walls in Europe. We have a dragon over here in the corner, our forest scene. We have Noah's Ark is up here around the corner. We have 5 basic rules. 1 and 2 will get you 86 immediately. That's no theft and no violence, period. Any at all is done in the village, you're automatically out, and by the time you come back, you'll have 72 hours to leave. That's all. You get no second chances on that. Number 3 is no drugs or alcohol. We don't allow it in the village. That doesn't mean that you can't go have a beer or something and come home, but then you're not encouraged to hang around. Because number 4 is no constant disruptive behavior. We don't like a lot of people out voicing their opinions and yelling and screaming on the tarmac, because that just it takes away from trying to do what you're supposed to do. So that's number 4. And number 5 is everyone must contribute 10 hours of community service back to the village. That's how the house repairs get done. That's how the village gets cleaned up, picked up, the garbage emptied, our commons cleaned. Everyone does security. So everybody does hours in the village. That's how we pay our rent.
Temperatures continued to drop into the single digits, and snow fell heavily at times as we left Dignity Village to head north. Giving people who are homeless a secure sense of place can help them heal from the spiral that led to their situation. Camps and microvillages seem to bridge a necessary gap between sleeping in the streets and permanent housing.
Here we are at Olympia, Washington at the Westminster Presbyterian Church. On the grounds they have what's called Camp Quixote. It's a nice model because they have a fence around it with one entrance portal, one entrance gate. They've got the porta potties and the recycling and garbage out front. And it's a housing community right across the street. And it looks like it's a good neighbor. Probably a model that Santa Cruz would like to duplicate.
Hi, I'm Becky. I go by Scully. Welcome to Camp Quixote. In each one of these tents homes 3 people. They've got walls up to kind of give you privacy. Not great for insulation, so a lot of us have blankets hanging up. Robert? Yeah. Is it cool if we come in and see inside? Yeah. You guys want to come in? All right, here we go. On in there. They're small spaces, but it's better than...
Yeah, Robert, this is my home.
Nothing.
This is my little domain right here and stuff, and just try to keep it as clean as I can, you know. I'm a diehard Seahawk man. I've been homeless twice in my life. I've lived in tents, and lived in the rain, the shine, the snow, sleet, everything like that. Right here, you know, the wind blows like that, still stays together and such, you know. We got friends here to help out each other and stuff, you know. We all cook for each other, stuff like that. Basically, it's better than living on the streets.
You know, just the tarps kind of covering for rain or whatnot. There's different entrances into each of the houses. Some have doors, other ones are just a zipper up. This is our dishwashing station. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But because of the cold weather, we have to keep the water running so it doesn't freeze, because it is getting below freezing out here. So yeah, it's just kind of everybody's got their own little area. Not much for storage. I mean, we don't have storage areas. This is our last and final room, and we're gonna have to duck to get under. It is the only actual tent still here. And that's my room, because I was the last resident here. But here we have an actual tent, tarped and plasticed in to keep some of the heat in. Very small quarters. And normally we'd have the tarp up higher, but it's temporary. We're moving to our new spot soon, so I can't wait to get in there.
I'm Erin, and this is Olympia, Washington, homeless camp.
Quixote resident Erin nervously led us to her home. Living on the streets is a dangerous place, especially for women. Nearly all of the female residents in the camps that we had visited this far told us that it was the only place where they felt safe.
It's good as a stepping stone. Like, we're not on the streets, and I'm on a housing waiting list, and instead of just on the streets. And it's really safe here. You have camp desk person, watchman, all 24/7. So, yeah, I can't wait to get out of here. It's nice, you know, you got heat power, but it's like a tent.
My name's Julie Montgomery, and my title is Resident Advocate. And my role at the camp is just to assist people kind of with whatever they need as far as getting services, and they set up goals when they come into camp. We check in monthly on their progress on the goals and just see how I can help them. For a lot of people, it's been housing, to get into permanent supportive housing. Some of it's been helping people reconnect with family, which is a really important thing to do, and one of my favorite parts of the job. Helping people apply for benefits, because the system is just so difficult and really set up for people to have to fight their way through it. And when you're talking about people who have, you know, mental illnesses and substance abuse issues, it's just, I mean, I feel like I'm a fairly stable person, and it just drives me crazy. Like, I really try to make it hard. And so one of the best things about this is just the community and feeling connected to people. A lot of people have come to the woods, from the woods here, and they just feel less isolated, they feel safer. I had one couple in camp who had fallen out with their family and got them connected, and it's just like kind of what they needed was time to get back, you know, make these connections with their family, and then they got jobs and went back to school. And You know, so for some people it can be just a really, like, a stabilizing place to be.
Scully agreed to take us to the site of the new Quixote Village, which, as you'll see, is an incredible example of what can be accomplished when a community comes together in a positive way.
Today's the only day that I haven't been out here to paint, but I've been out here painting every day since we've been allowed to. And it's so fun. It's just awesome. So this is one of the ones that is fully painted and almost ready for the bedding. And this is also where we store all the paint. Yeah, so I mean, it's not big. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it is a heck of a lot bigger than a tent. You get the walls, you get your windows that open and shut. If you come back this way, again, this is one of the bigger cabins. So we got, what's gonna be in here is like a water heater and then our storage closet. And then in this area, we're gonna have a toilet and a sink. So we'll have like our own bathrooms. So we're gonna come in 3 and take a peek. This is another one that's finished. Like I said, it's a little bit smaller. And then it's my understanding that there's going to be possibly a bed. I think it's going to go like right here, built into the wall, and then we'll have like a little desk and a chair. But there's not much storage space, but it's, you know, it's a lot better than the woods. It's going to be pretty. Yay.
My name's Steve, and I go to the Unitarian Church, and I was asked by one of the board members who's coordinating this thing to take over managing the painting, because we have a strict time schedule, trying to get them all done by the 14th. Our church is very involved in the community and has been involved in Camp Quixote for years. And so when there's a permanent village, it's like, wow, how cool is that? Nobody should be homeless, and it's 20 degrees outside. So, I mean, this is a nice spot. And every little dot on the map has homeless people. It's just a sign of the times. And some people, it's really through no fault of their own. I know people have lost their homes because of the financial crunch in '08, you know? I mean, they just, bad investing, bad information from people, yeah, those types of things. So, how do you get somebody to embrace the fact that there's homeless? I don't know. I don't know how you do that. But, you know, people ought to get off their you know, ivory towers and say, hey, you know, I've got it pretty good, but some people don't, and why not, you know, lend a hand to somebody who doesn't have what you have? I mean, it seems like a pretty noble effort.
We left the Quixote Village just as the temperature was dropping to well below freezing. Listening to all the varied stories of how people became homeless was emotionally draining. Medical issues, substance abuse, and financial troubles spawned by the recession all topped the list. The tales of homelessness made me realize just how precarious our lifestyles really are. We headed north to Seattle to visit the itinerant camp called Tent City 3. Tent City 3 is privately funded and houses about 100 people for only $3,800 per month. It is currently located at a church in the middle of an upper-class neighborhood, and the stories of generosity from local residents were incredible. One neighbor even roasted a truckload of chickens and donated them to the camp for Thanksgiving. Our tour guide Tom was a little camera shy, but the other residents talked him into giving us the tour. We thought he did great.
We have a donations tent. People donate stuff. We got women's side and men's. Toiletries. Pretty groovy. These are all single people tents. Looks really cool in the morning. They're all frosted over. Yeah, Thanksgiving was crazy. When we first show up, we have a community meeting. We like put a little flyer on each house and invite everybody. One of them actually wanted us to stay a month longer.
We met some great people on our journey, and though not a perfect solution, these various camps at least provide the basic infrastructure needed for survival. Human waste is properly dealt with, and garbage cans ensure that refuse is kept out of the wildlands where homeless encampments often spring up. Addiction and mental health services can be utilized more easily, and a whole community of peer support is close at hand. There are hundreds of reports documenting homeless use of emergency rooms to merely get warm or have a meal. Clearly, this is the wrong venue and highlights a systemic failure. I can imagine that where these camps are located, both the emergency medical system and law enforcement would be less taxed. On our way back south to Santa Cruz, we decided to visit the very first camp that we toured on our trip and see how the residents were coping with the extreme weather that they'd been experiencing for the past week. They had built a warming tent in the middle of the camp, and many residents were huddled inside when we arrived. It was 9 degrees in Eugene that night.